Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and very good morning to everyone. Today we are going to continue chapter 8.0 about transport system, transport in plant. Today we are going to focus more detail about the pressure flow hypothesis. As we can see here, this is our learning outcome. At the end of the lesson, students should be able to explain the pressure flow hypothesis in Phloem. Alright, let we start. Pressure flow hypothesis in Phloem. So today we are going to focus detail about pressure flow hypothesis in Phloem. As we can see here, do you know how plant will grow every day? Maybe you think about the sunlight, water. So you have to remember one more thing that's very important to plant grow. That one is food or the organic product. So transport of organic product. Transport of the product of photosynthesis is known as translocation. So the main point here is translocation. Translocation is the movement of organic material in the phloem of a plant, according to the reference Solomon edition. You have to remember this definition about translocation. Actually, translocation is carried out by phloem. Phloem as a site of translocation. Phloem also is a living tissue consisting of sieve tube and companion cells. According to the figure, this label is companion cells near the structure of sieve tube. And then companion cells are connected to sieve tube elements by plasmodesmata. From the diagram, you see the plasmodesmata structure. Try to imagine. Plasmodesmata is the specific region where it allows the substance move through it. And then sugar source is plant organ that is net producer of sugar by photosynthesis or by breaking down of starch. The main point here, how to discuss detail about translocation. You have to look more detail about how source will produce sugar, and after that sugar will move throughout the plant through the phloem structure. The source of sugar, let's say for example the leaf. The leaf actually the main production area where sucrose or organic product will form. And then sugar sink is plant organ that is a net consumer of sugar or storage of sugar. Let's say for example, sink is root, fruit, buds, and also stem. Food or sugar flows down from source to sink. You have to remember how sugar will move throughout the phloem. Sugar or food will move throughout the phloem is from source to sink. Let's say for example from leaf to root, leaf to fruit, leaf to buds, and also leaf to stem. Alright, we go to the next one. We go to detail about how mechanism of pressure flow hypothesis will occur in phloem. Pressure flow hypothesis will explain why phloem sap flows from source to sink. It is also shows the mechanism of translocation of the product of photosynthesis in angiosperm. This actually the process of pressure flow hypothesis occur in the phloem. You start from the first one, loading of sugar or the green dot into the sieve tube at the source reduces water potential inside the sieve tube element. This causes the tube to take up water by osmosis. Look at the first step. The first step actually is start from the source cell or the leaf, where the sucrose start from sucrose in leaf cell will loading into the sieve tube in the phloem. Okay, I repeat again. The sucrose will loading into the sieve tube in the phloem by active transport. And after that, at the same time, after the sucrose loading into the sieve tube, at the same time, water from the xylem will diffuse or transport into the phloem by osmosis process. It will be concentration of sucrose will high at the sieve tube. At the same time, the concentration of water also high at the sieve tube. It will allow the sucrose move throughout or move down through the sieve tube by positive pressure hypothesis until move to the downward. Okay, and after that, once sucrose already reach at the downward, sucrose will unloading into the sink cell. Let's say for example, sucrose will unloading into the root cell by passive transport. Okay, sucrose, once sucrose reach at the downside, so sucrose ready to unloading into the sink cell by passive transport. At the same time, water from the sieve tube at the downside will diffuse back into the xylem by osmosis. So the process will repeat. This actually we call pressure flow hypothesis occur in phloem to allow or to help the sucrose will move throughout the plant cell. Okay, class, I repeat, the very important point here is how sucrose will move throughout the sieve tube. you have to remember the main phase. Phase number 1 is loading phase at the source cell or leaf cell into the sieve tube. The second phase occurs is unloading phase, when sucrose will transport into the root cell. This actually we call unloading phase. So you have to remember two main phases in this process. While for the another one, you have to remember the process occur in this process. The main process occur in this process is first active transport. Active transport occur from leaf cell or source cell when sucrose unloading into the sieve tube. That is first process. The second process is passive transport, where the sucrose will unloading into the sink cell or the root cell. And then the process of osmosis will occur to help the movement of sucrose move throughout the phloem or sieve tube. That is mechanism about pressure flow hypothesis in phloem. Okay, thank you class.